It's on. Yep, looks like it. Okay, rad. Going live with episode 2 of Project ShovelRAD, my 76 Harley FXE chopper build that we're live streaming, and I'm just posting the link to it on my Facebook and this Instagram. Got to figure out where to post this so people see it, but anyways, give me a second to do that, and then I'm usually going to be doing this after the kid goes to bed at 9 o'clock or something, so who knows? I got 30 minutes or an hour. It'll be a long project, but we'll make progress every time I've got some time to work on it. Let me post here. Okay. Did that. Post it on Instagram, and then we'll figure out where else to be posting this. Let's see here. Switch. Guess I should do that from my phone. All right. Sorry, give me one sec. Let's see here. Switch accounts. Okay. Give me a minute. I'm trying to figure out how to copy the link. Let's see. Where is my camera? Okay. Okay. Here we go. All right. We'll see if anybody joins because of that. Who knows? I feel like it'll take a while for anybody to pay much attention, but that's okay. Okay, cool. All right, done. So, what are we doing? Gonna keep taking the bike apart. Let's look at our cameras here. See where we're at. That one's showing okay. Okay, so if you're just joining this and you didn't watch the first episode on my YouTube channel, you can go back and watch the first episode that kind of explains what we're doing. Probably not going to go over it in detail every single night. We're working on it, but since I'm getting this off the ground, I probably should. We are live streaming on YouTube the build of this 76 Harley FXE that I bought a while ago. It's an old bike I bought off a buddy, and it is far from perfect and already has a lot of changes, and we're building a chopper. So the bike needs to be gone through. Got lots of stuff that needs some work, so we're right now in the process of tearing it down. Let's go over here. You look at the upper right camera. We'll just look at where we're at. So last night, just getting started, did an intro. We got the tank off. We got the seat off. Have all the oil drained. So, you know, we're going to strip everything down to the point of pulling the motor out. So we should just probably keep cranking on that. So why don't we go ahead and start? I think we'll do the primary tonight. Get that apart and see what's in there. Like I said last night, the bike runs well. No weird noises or anything, so I'm not expecting any surprises here, but who knows what we'll find. So I'm going to switch over to the camera on that side, which is called, what do I call it? Workbench camera. Okay. Get this one out of the way. Okay. So we're on the workbench camera that should be able to show this pretty well. Try and get a good angle on it. I want to get a close up, but still be pretty easy to see what's going on and not be in the way. All right, that should work. Okay, so we're going to pull the primary off. If we're going to be pulling the motor, put on some gloves again. I never used to wear gloves ever, and I've wrecked my hands so much with oil and gas and all sorts of junk that now I still definitely don't always do it, but more and more, if I have them, I'm wearing them. You're welcome to make fun of me. I always thought it was lame in the past, but now I like doing it. I take that back. First thing we're going to do is disconnect the battery. Might as well. On these Harleys, especially these old ones, switch over here. There's certainly no need to be screwing around with anything that could potentially trigger the starter on these because they have a pretty gnarly starter system. So let's see. I have no idea how this thing's wired, so I'm trying to see what's what. Okay, so it's kind of hard to see, but this side over here has the circuit breaker on it, the master breaker, which means the other side, the far side, is going to be the ground. So for now, I'm just going to remove the ground cable. Nothing too interesting there, just undoing the bolt at the battery terminal. And I'm just putting it back in place so I don't lose it. Okay, so you can see right here, I got it sticking out. There was the ground cable. And yeah, they've clearly been replaced with like car cables or something, but no big deal. You can see that's where it's grounded to a tab at the frame right here. So who knows? We'll keep that. The cables have been replaced and are new, so maybe we'll use those. Nothing wrong with them. Okay, good. But now I can't accidentally shock myself, short out the battery, or somehow engage the starter and rip my hand off. So that's always good. All right, switch back to workbench. All right, let's see what we got over here. I'm going to move, got all this hardware on the bench from the gas tank. Move it out of the way here. Just putting the bolts and washer and nut and stuff back together so I don't lose them. You remember, if you look at last night, you'll see where we took all that apart, keep all the hardware together. Okay, I'm going to grab some wrenches. I like using these a lot, these pivoting ratcheting wrenches. They're just some cheap ones from Harbor Freight, but they work well. Oh, nice. Okay, you can see the bolt for the shifter is falling out, so that's good. So we can go ahead and get that off and get this janky shift linkage out of the way. Definitely not going to be using that. So I already, like we talked about last night, I already drained all the oil. I'm going to put the bolt back in there, but who knows what we'll end up using for the shifter setup. So I already drained all the oil from the primary, but let's just go ahead and start disassembling and see what we got in here. Start by taking the derby cover off. Let's just see what the clutch looks like. Okay, so we have two Phillips heads and a flathead. All right. Kind of cool old Harley derby cover. I like it. Harley Davidson, made in USA. And it's like a cast. I don't know if it's like lead or what. I don't know. Anyways, cast logo like tacked onto the derby cover is kind of cool. So we'll definitely use that. Let's see what we got in here. I mean, we're going to be pulling this out anyway, so we'll get a better look, but it doesn't hurt to see. So I can see right away the clutch springs have been changed. They're bright red. I doubt those are original. The plate looks okay, so no surprises there. Okay, we'll back up and keep going. Like I said, clutch worked well. I'm not, there's no weird noises from the primary. I'm not expecting anything crazy in here, but you know, on old Harleys, you never know, especially a bike like this that's clearly been messed with quite a bit. Like, you never know what you're gonna find when you take them apart. On my FXR over there, I had no idea, and I took it apart, and it had an automatic primary chain tensioner in it, which was cool. I would have never expected. In fact, I didn't even know they made this, so I was surprised to see it. And it was set incorrectly. The tension was wrong. The shims were set up wrong. But once I corrected it, it's great because then you just never have to touch it again. All right, let's see. So this cover, if you're not familiar with Harleys, is the inspection cover for the primary chain that lets you see, check primary chain tension. And I forget, I think you can adjust it through here as well. And maybe not. I forget. Some of them I thought you could, but I always do it when I have the primary cover off. Okay, so a little bit. Okay, so now with the inspection cover off, somebody made a gasket or something for it, but cover's fine, so no problem there. And nothing surprising there, so that's good. Good kickstand out of the way. Okay. You move some of this. Probably replace all this hardware, but for now, I usually like to just screw it back in place. So I know where it came from. Oh, nice. I see. So these are different sizes. So the two Phillips look like the original thread, and this flathead is larger because it looked like it has stripped out and somebody tapped it up a size to be able to get a bolt back in it. So interesting. Okay, no big deal. More of the interesting stuff you'll find. I swear every old shovelhead is, you just will find this kind of stuff where parts have been changed and swapped, and they've been put back together with junk. My buddy Max knows that. He's had a bunch of them. Because it's like good and bad. These bikes are cool and they're fun, and they will keep running typically, even with really horrendous maintenance. And so many times you'll see people just put them back together with junk. And they will certainly stay on the road like that. I have a feeling, I don't know this for sure because I'm no Harley expert, but I'm pretty sure this is an aftermarket primary cover. Being all chrome, I don't know, maybe they were chrome, I'm not sure. But it's certainly warped a little bit. Like the second the tension came off the screws, I could see it pulling away up at the top. I doubt you could see it from that angle very well. Even then, I don't know. But right here, you can see a gap. The second those screws loosened up, it pulled away. And I don't know. I mean, we'll see. It wasn't leaking horribly or anything. I plan on reusing it, but that makes me think it's maybe probably a cheaper aftermarket replacement primary. And I have actually had those on other shovels that were just a pain in the ass because they would warp, but who knows. Well, it's got number 60510-70. And you can kind of read it stamped in there. I'll have to look it up. Maybe that's a Harley part number. Got some interesting repairs in here, it looks like. You can see where this has all been like sanded down. First I thought it was rubbing, but here you can see a weld repair, and it looks like another weld repair there. So who knows? Maybe it is an original primary that's just been patched up. Doesn't matter. Okay. Of course, whatever. Oil's leaking everywhere. What do I do with my paper towels? All right, clean some of this up. Move my oil can back under here. I know better. These, of course, are going to drip oil everywhere, so should have already had that over. Okay, I'll get that out of the way. All right, so now what are we looking at? Let's see what we got. Any surprises in here? So like I said, clutch springs are for sure newer. They look brand new and they're red, so I'm sure they're aftermarket. Let me go ahead and activate the clutch so you can see the pressure plate move. So it had good clutch engagement, good feel. There was really no problems here, and that everything I see lines up with what I expected. Primary chain's in nice shape. tension's okay. That looks good. The tensioner shoe looks good. In fact, even new. It looks really clean, and there's no grooves worn in it. So typically, an older tensioner shoe here presses up on the chain to keep the tension right on this. And as they wear in, there's nothing wrong with that, but you'll start to get grooves from the chain riding in it. And I'm feeling it, and it's like spotless. It's totally smooth. So that's been replaced. And man, everything looks really nice. Clutch basket's in good shape. All the ring gear teeth are good. Now, the starter worked fine on this bike, but it was slow. I think I said that last time. And I don't know. We'll see. Could just been a bad ground. Could be an old starter. These have a starter motor and the big starter solenoid that throws out and then moves these two little arms that throw the Bendix out to engage with the ring gear here. There's a lot of parts that have to work well. And who knows? Any of them could be bad. So we'll see. We'll look at all that later. Right now, not a big deal. Here you can see the mid-control shift shaft where it comes through the primary cover. That can stay there until it comes off. So now to get off all of this, we have to remove the nut here on the compensator, which is a spring-loaded unit that helps take up the jerk of the driveline engaging and prevents wear, I think, on I don't know, on the chain and sprockets and stuff. And then we have to remove the all the clutch pieces here, I believe, and take that off. So we'll see. I've done them on Evos and I've done them on shovels, but it's been a while, so I don't remember exactly the steps, but we'll find out. Back this up a little bit. There we go. Okay. I know I have the socket for that. Let me find it. Because I have bought it from taking apart a bunch of these. There we go. Yeah, compensator is 1.5. And I'm going to use an impact gun on it. I know you're not supposed to. I think the flywheels, at least the Evo flywheels, even have like do not use impact or do not impact or something stamped on them. But I'm going to put a 3-phase charging system on this and replace the flywheel anyways. And they're not really worth anything, so I really don't care. So there we go. Blast off the compensator. So you can see that comes off, just big threads, no big deal. Okay, so we take that off. You can see the like spring-loaded piece in there. Take off the cup. I don't know the correct names for a lot of these things. And then you can see the kind of tooth piece that engages with the main shaft on the crankshaft. So I usually just put it all in a stack and keep it together. Okay, so now you can see all that will be ready to slide off of the crankshaft. However, you pretty much never can get enough room. I need to slack out the chain. I'll do that next. But you can pretty much never get enough room to like slide it off without taking the clutch off at the same time. So no problem. Okay, so let's see. Actually, that came off easy with the impact gun. Typically, you have to use a locking tool. I didn't even think to put that in there. Let me find it. I have one in here. Where is it? Here it is. Okay, so typically, what I should have done really is use the locking tool. It looks like this little staircase. Okay, and you put it here in the primary chain and slide it in and let it grab into the gears. And that will, as if this tries to turn as you're trying to loosen stuff, at least on Evos, I know when I was doing those with the big nut here on the clutch, the big nut or bolt or whatever that holds the clutch basket in, you got to lock this whole thing up to break it loose. So that's the locking tool. That came right off some, I probably didn't need it in this case, but it's a good tool to have if you're going to work on Harleys, that's for sure. Okay, so we'll go ahead and slack out the chain. I should have done that first, but this didn't hurt anything to not do it. So we need to loosen up right here. Let me see, I bet it's a 9/16. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to loosen this. Then you'll see this whole adjuster mechanism gets loose. So what happens when that loosens up? When it's tight, it clamps itself into the little ridges. There's little grooves here on this plate. When you loosen it up, it pulls away or comes loose, and then you can drop it down and slack the chain out. So now you can see my chain's totally loose. Okay, so if I needed it, that locking tool would be what I would use. Okay, but since that's loose, I can drop that down. And since I'm going to be removing all of this, since I'm taking the whole primary off, I might as well just go ahead and undo this entirely, which I just did. So now this whole mechanism for the tensioner, the nut part that it screws into is hanging out behind there, and that's okay. But now this is loose and it can just stay on the chain. So cool. And it's a big, beefy double roller chain. I mean, these do stretch and wear out eventually, but that tensioner was right about in the middle of its travel. And certainly, you know, that says that the chain was not so slacked out it needs to be replaced. There's plenty of adjustment room left in the chain, so no worries. Okay, so now we got to remove the clutch basket. I haven't done a shovel clutch in a long time, so we'll see. I'm sure I'll get it off. Maybe I'll do some unnecessary steps, maybe not. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So first I'm going to go ahead and put my locker in there just to jam up the chain. I'm going to undo the lock nut here. This is your clutch adjustment for the clutch push rod that engages the pressure plate. So I'm going to undo the lock nut. I'm going to put a screwdriver there on that flathead part. I'm going to back it way out. So what that's going to do is put a ton of slop in the clutch push rod that would actuate this. So now I'm certainly not fighting the clutch cable. Okay, so with that slacked out, I think I can probably remove the outer plate here. And what I'll do when I get this apart, I think I'll go grab some, a like plastic Ziploc bag and put these clutch springs and stuff in it. I usually try and just bag stuff up. I mean, I've always found with these kind of motorcycles, like, I never really worry too much. Like, stuff typically only really goes back in one place, or maybe I've just done enough bikes that I like don't really worry too much about what's what because I can always figure it out. But especially if this is your first time, like, bag stuff up and label it, because if you're not sure where stuff goes, it'll certainly save you some hassle. Okay, so there's our nuts. You can see they've got a groove in them that goes over this little tab, and that helps them lock into place. Okay, go ahead and pull this. Let all my clutch springs drop out. Okay, put those down. Bag all that up. Okay, sweet. There's our outer plate. Remove the locking nut. And actually, yeah, now that I think about it, the shovel that I did a full rebuild on that I've like fully disassembled was a 1980, I think. And it had the Evo style clutch basket, I think. It wasn't this old style. So, you know, like I said, I'm no expert on these, and I don't think I've even disassembled this old of a Harley clutch. So, you know, maybe I'm doing it in the wrong order. But dang, new clutch plates. These look great. I'll have to ask my buddy I bought it from. I wonder if he replaced all this stuff because it's like surprisingly new. And like I said, it worked great, so nice. That will certainly save parts money for chopper stuff. Okay, pull out all the clutch plates. And there we go. So hopefully you can see okay from that angle. Like that. Okay. So, I mean, they're pretty simple, like to take the clutch apart. It's like any other motorcycle clutch, multi-plate clutch. It's a, you know, a basket. You've got rings that will go on these, the fiber plates that will go on these studs, and then you'll have steel plates that'll go on the basket studs, and they just get sandwiched on top of each other, and that's what lets them, you know, spin separately. Okay, so I'm going to screw the lock nut back on to my clutch stack, and this will just go in a bag. It's all in perfect shape. Will be reused. I'll set it out of the way on the lift. Okay. Now we're down to our clutch basket. So, got to take a look because, like I said, I haven't done one. There is a tabbed locking washer behind it that will probably be hard to see from there. I'm going to have to bend the tab back a little bit, and then this large nut will have to come out. And if I remember right, and I assume it'll be the same on this, all the other Harley clutches I've done have been reverse threaded on the clutch basket, which means you have to tighten or go to the right, clockwise to loosen them. So I'm going to assume that's the case here. Let me grab a hammer for this screwdriver and we'll bend the locking tabs back. All right, go in here. And I'll try and show a close up in a second. You can see what I'm doing. Okay, cool. Let's see if we can show this. Here, let me switch to the portable camera. Okay, so check this out. I'm going here. There we go. There you go. You can see deep inside there, there's a tabbed washer behind that big nut. And those tabs were bent up and folded over the edge of the nut, and that prevents it from ever walking itself loose. So you got to tap them back with a screwdriver to flatten them out. And now you'll be able to remove the nut. Okay, cool. Switch back to my workbench camera. And I got to find the right socket for that, which is we'll try this 15/16 maybe. Nope. All right, what is this? 1 1/16. No. There we go. It is 1 1/8. And I don't know. My impact gun get in there? Yeah. So now, as I want to do that, it's going to try and spin the inner part of the clutch hub. So we'll see what we have to do here. Oh, nice. Okay, well, I can go ahead and remove part of my primary chain setup along with that. Okay, so I'll take that off. Come over here and set it down on the workbench. Okay, so that's out of the way. All right, so we have to get that hub off to be able to pull this whole primary out, and we'll have to take the starter solenoid out as well, but no big deal. Pretty clean in here though. There's no metal shavings or anything. That's a good sign. Yeah, this is like a newer silicone seal primary gasket, so somebody's certainly been in here. Okay, I'm just setting these primary parts out of the way over here. Okay. Let's see. So here's the bearing setup for the clutch hub. And so this is going to want to spin. Maybe you can lock it up with a pry bar between the studs. Should probably do some Googling though, but let's just see. I don't mind getting creative on my bikes to figure stuff out sometimes. Okay. I'm sure I will do a lot of stuff that is not the exact way you're supposed to do it. Okay, so that works. So I used a screwdriver in between the studs to keep it from spinning, and it is reverse threaded, and then I was able to remove it. And I'll have to look at why this has what looks like an oil seal. You can see there what looks like it has an oil seal on it, and like I said, I don't know this old of a Shovelhead setup, so I need to do some research and see why that is. Interesting. Okay, so with that out of the way, now what? Can the clutch assembly come off of the transmission shaft or no? I'm not sure. Oh, interesting. So on this, like I said, the other shovel that I did, I could pull, I'm pretty sure I pulled the flywheel with the inner primary in place, but this style, the flywheel sits completely behind a groove in the inner primary. It's gonna be hard to see, but there's a groove that hangs down right here, and it actually covers the flywheel. So interesting. Okay, so the primary would have to come off to change the stator, or the inner primary would have to come off to change the stator, anyways. So okay, interesting. All right, I might have to look this up because I don't want to wreck the clutch bearing setup here, and I'm just not familiar enough to be sure. You also just may be like tapered or something, and you need a puller. I just don't know. Here's the clutch push rod here in the middle. Yeah, it's had some interesting repairs. Right here's another weld repair around the starter area. And there's some grooves like worn in here as well. Probably looks like from a older primary chain got loose or came loose and wore grooves into the primary cover, which again doesn't really matter, but this bike's had some miles on it for sure. Here, let me switch to the other camera and I'll show you close up of some of this stuff. So here you can see, here we go. So there's some damage down there below at the bottom where the chain would hang. That's probably from a loose chain. Up here, there we go. Right there, you can see a weld repair around the starter boss where the starter shaft comes through. So that's cracked or something and been repaired. And then, there we go, right there. See those grooves? That is for sure from a loose primary chain that was slapping against the case and wore itself through. And you can see that notch right there. That's part of the primary that hangs down and covers the flywheel. And same down here at the bottom. So anyways, what I didn't know from the other, like I said, I haven't worked on this old of a shovel, so I'm learning stuff. The inner primary would have to come out to remove the flywheel. So interesting, no big deal. We're doing it anyways, but I like learning new stuff. All right, well, we did something tonight. I'll probably stop here because I'm going to look up how to remove the clutch hub correctly because I just don't know and I don't want to bash on it without checking. So we'll look that up and then continue tomorrow. Just keep making progress. Cool. All right. Well, thanks for watching episode 2. We'll keep cranking on this bike. And